And Father, we particularly take time now to pray for Magistrate Paul Reynolds. Father God, he needs you to visit him today. I ask you, Father, to touch him. We ask you to raise him up. We ask you to comfort him and his family in his time of sickness. And we trust and believe that you will. We thank you for this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thanks, sir. Tom, if you will, lead us in the pledge.
Stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated.
Thanks, Tom. You all had a chance to look over previous fiscal court meeting minutes. That was our August 24th, 2021 fiscal court meeting. At this time, I need a motion and a second to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is our treasurer's report. Good morning, Glenna. I think Glenna's actually got a couple of reports today.
Yes, thank you. I have a couple things to go over with you. First of all, the audit was finished and released on, I think, August the 4th from the state auditor's office, and it is posted on our website. It's also on the state auditor's website. We had no comments on it. It was a great audit, but if you'd like to look at it in detail, and the public can look at it in detail on our website or the state auditor's website. We also have, I put in your Dropbox, our financial statement for June 30th, 2021, which will be our annual financial statement. It looks like our normal monthly statement, but it is for the entire year. So if you all would like to look over that, that has been reconciled and everything. And then my next report is the July report, July 31st, 2021, in the new 21-22 year. Our total fund balance is $25,436,986.72, which does include all of our ARPA money. Our general fund revenues are at 8.9%. Our expenditures are at 6.2%. Our road fund revenues are at 9.7%, and our expenditures are at 4.3%. Our jail fund revenues are at 20.9%, and our expenditures are at 7.3%. Our LGA funds, our revenues are at 0%. Those come in quarterly, so we haven't gotten the first one in. And our expenditures are 1.7%. CSEP fund, our revenues are at 0.4%, and our expenditures are at 1.2%. And our 911 fund, our revenues are at 2.4%, and our expenditures are at 5.3%. Our health fund, our revenues are at 9%, and our expenditures are at 0 right now. Does anybody have any questions about the reports or the claims list transfers?
And the only thing I want to make sure that you made a statement there that that was including our ARPA, all of our ARPA funds.
Yes.
That's just this portion, half of them.
Yes, we
just in
received
case
half.
anybody, knows how much we're getting. We've only got half of that.
Yes, right now we have $9,031,136.68 in the ARPA fund.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get the other half in, I think, next May.
Yes.
So this coming May. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Glenn. Any questions?
Glenn, I'd just like to say, good job on the audit. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
diligence you put into that every year, and coming out with 0 complaints or audits is a
Thank you.
tribute to you.
It takes a team, so
It does.
everybody works together on that.
Yeah. And also, I would encourage the magistrates to look at the year-end report, basically last fiscal year. That's our final numbers. And it gives you a comparison of actually what we spent versus what we had budgeted, same with revenues and expenditures. So I'm proud of the job that we're doing as a team, Glenna, in making sure that we're financially and fiscally responsible. So, all right, next, I would ask the court to allow me to amend the agenda. On your agenda, I would like to change Resolution 2021-100 from Board of Adjustments appointment to annexation of Goggins Lane. And then also on line item number 8, we added Resolution 2021-103. It's a FEMA DR 4592 Public Assistance Grant.
Motion to move the agenda as stated, Judge.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Master Berger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next, we have a proclamation. This is Constitution Week, and I have my friend here with me, Debbie Parsons. I appreciate you being here. And if Debbie, if you want to go up to the mic, and I'll read the proclamation, and then you can address the court with whatever you would like to say. Whereas it is the privilege and duty of the American people to commemorate the 234th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America with appropriate ceremonies and activities, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore I, Reagan Taylor, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the County of Madison and the State of Kentucky and the Madison County Fiscal Court, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and urge all citizens to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities with that privilege involves.
Thank you, Judge Taylor. I'm happy to accept that for the Jemima Boone chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Our purpose and goal is to promote God, home, and country. And one of the things we do is we try to help children learn to respect the Constitution, because as everyone know, without the Constitution, we're nothing more than a country with no lead. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much, and I appreciate all the work you all do to keep our country and our state where it needs to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. And can we do a picture? Yep. Masters, if y'all will, y'all care sort of. Stand up behind there.
Yep.
Smile with your eyes. You got a mask on.
1, 2, 3. Because that matters with a mask.
Thank you.
We'll be on your courthouse lawn on Friday, handing out free copies of the Constitution and giving packets of information to kids about the Constitution and also their own free copy of the Constitution.
What time are you on? I'll try to stop by. Say hello.
Okay.
All right, good stuff. Next, we have a Kentucky Emergency Management Association update. And we have a special guest with us, Drew.
Yes, sir.
Great to have you. Appreciate you being here.
Judge Taylor, members of the court, other elected and appointed department heads, members of the community, thank you for allowing me a few moments on your agenda this morning. My name is Drew Chandler. I'm Dustin Heiser's counterpart, the Emergency Management Director in Woodford County, and I'm the president of the Emergency Management Association for this term. KEMA is a nonprofit tax-exempt association that was incorporated 30 years ago by the movers and shakers of our profession that helped us evolve from civil defense to disaster and emergency services to today. Among our different programs is an awards program to recognize the good work that goes on around the state by our members. One award that is dear to me because I served in that role for so long is that of Deputy Director of the Year. Our awards are derived from nominations that come from the membership around the state, and then those nominations are balloted on by our 9-member board of directors. Last week, we were pleased to present someone among us today as Deputy Director of the Year from the Emergency Management Association. Now, it should come as no surprise, those of you that interact with Dustin and his team, the good things that they're doing for the people of Madison County, Richmond, and Berea. But there's a special place for the Deputy Director because that's where the work really gets done. A Deputy Director works behind the scenes to allow the Director to lead the department and work on strategic things. And Jennifer Hitch is very notable in her achievements and the things that she's doing. And I'm just very proud that that award is going to someone in Central Kentucky and someone that I get to work with on a regular basis with the Bluegrass Emergency Response Team. So if you would allow me to represent the KEMA Deputy Director of the Year to Jennifer Hitch from your emergency management program.
That's awesome. Speech.
Judge Taylor, thank you again for
Drew, thank you so much. You know, this means a lot. You don't, sometimes I think we take for granted, you know, how awesome our staff it really is, from the top to the bottom. We really are lucky in Madison County, the county, to have such a wonderful staff, and it's awesome to see these types of achievements from colleagues all across the Commonwealth. Kudos to you, Jennifer. I know you're awesome, and I think this just gives me more confidence in the way that I think. I'm proud of you. So, good job. And Drew, I really appreciate your time in coming down and presenting and being with us today.
It's a pleasure, but I've got to get back for our own fiscal court meeting, so I apologize for leaving
Tell,
boards early.
tell Judge Kay I said hello.
I'll certainly do that.
Yep.
Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, next, Resolution 2021-98. This is the American Rescue Plan Act Procurement Policy. Good morning, Glenna, again.
Good morning. Resolution 2021-98, a resolution of the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, relating to the procurement policy for purchases made with American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds. Whereas the Madison County, Kentucky's policy is to procure equipment, supplies, and services funded by state and local fiscal recovery funds, SLFRF funds, in accordance with all applicable laws in a method that provides for full and open competition. And whereas Kentucky law also requires that all contracts, leases, or other agreements for materials, supplies, except perishable meat, fish, and vegetables, equipment, or for contractual services other than professional, over $30,000 must be advertised and competitively bid. And whereas the purpose of this policy is to establish guidelines that meet or exceed the procurement requirements for purchases of goods, services, and construction or repair projects when federal funds are being used in whole or in part to pay the cost of the contract. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the judge executive to execute same on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Glenna. Do I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2021-98?
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-98.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? I think really this is just more of a formality with the new ARPA funds. Is that
Yes,
correct?
this is just for the ARPA funds, and it's just the new
A requirement?
consultants that
Yeah.
we hired recommended that we pass this for the ARPA funds.
Yeah. All right. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, call the roll.
Master Buchan?
Yes.
Master Berger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you, Glenna. You're up again. That's why you're not moving.
That's all
All
right.
right. Next is Resolution 2021-99. This is our Kit Carson Commons project.
Yes, Resolution 2021-99, a resolution authorizing payment for the Kit Carson Commons project. Excuse me. Whereas Madison County has been awarded Community Development Block Grant funds from the Commonwealth of Kentucky in the amount of $480,000. And whereas the expenditures of all CDBG funds are in compliance with the Kentucky CDBG Handbook, financial management policies, and applicable OMB circulars. Now therefore be it resolved, Madison County is the recipient of CDBG program funds by signature of County Judge Executive Reagan Taylor, approves the following debts to be paid in full upon receipt of CDBG funds as drawn down from the Kentucky Department for Local Government or other payments that may be requested from other funding sources. Pay application 17, Spectrum Contracting Services, PO number 112, line item 05K Training Center. CDBG cost $48,133. And invoice number 7 for Fahi Incorporated, PO number 113, line item 15, Administration, CDBG cost $2,000. Be it further resolved that all expenditures have been documented and recorded and are authorized for drawdown from the Commonwealth of Kentucky in compliance with all state, federal, and local regulations. And this almost finishes this project. We have about $11,000, I believe, left out of that 480 to spend, which will probably wrap it up next month.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2021-99?
So move.
Have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, call the roll.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bucking,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. And hopefully I look forward to
Completion of this project.
completion, and we'll get to maybe go have a tour of it. It'd be nice to see. It really looks nice. Next is the resolution that we amended, Resolution 2021-100. This is the annexation of Goggins Lane. A resolution to approve the annexation of Goggins Lane from Tates Creek Road to Barnes Mill Road, Richmond, Kentucky, by the City of Richmond. Whereas the City of Richmond has requested approval of the Madison County Fiscal Court for the annexation of Goggins Lane from Tates Creek Road to Barnes Mill Road, Richmond, Kentucky. And whereas KRS 81A .412 allows owners of record of the land to give prior consent in writing to the annexation. And whereas Madison County Fiscal Court is the owner of Goggins Lane, CR, which is our county road number, CR-1303, the description to include 36-foot wide, 3 lanes, 12 feet each, of 2.2 miles of roadway from Tates Creek Road to Barnes Mill Road, bike and walking paths, all culverts and bridges, and any infrastructure inside rights-of-way. And whereas the need for Goggins Lane to become a part of the city's infrastructure is apparent due to the current and future growth within the city limits of Richmond, Kentucky. And now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve this request and authorizes the judge executive to execute same on behalf of the county. Do I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2021-100?
Motion to approve Resolution 2021-100, Judge.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Judge, I think this is just a very obvious decision here that I think everyone thinks Goggins Lane is in the city already. It's a very heavily traveled road. It will reduce some of the road maintenance on the counties by 2.5 miles. And the expansion development out there is just going to continue to increase. So for this being in the city, I think is a decision we're making wisely here.
Agreed. Any other comments? Thank you, John. Call the roll, please.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bucking.
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next, Resolution 2021-101. This is Madison County Airport Board. Madison County. I always say Madison County Airport, but it's Madison Airport Board, Inc. appointment. A resolution for the appointment of the Madison County Fiscal Court to the Madison Airport Board, Inc., whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is responsible for the appointment of Madison Airport Board, Inc. board members, and whereas a vacancy to the Madison Airport Board, Inc. is open, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has found Ethan Witt as fit for the position as board member of Madison Airport Board, Inc. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve Ethan Witt as a Madison Airport Board, Inc. member. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Judge, I think that Ethan is one of the two appointees from Eastern that's being added to the board, and Ethan's outstanding young man. He'll do great up there at the
Yep.
board, so we're glad for that appointment.
Yep. Thanks for saying that, Tom. I thought it was appropriate to make sure that everybody's educated on this. The airport board now is a four-way partnership with the city of Richmond, city of Brea, the county, and now EKU. Each governing entity gets two appointments, but each one of us recommend our appointments, and then everybody else approves them as well. So that's what actually both of these are, because that's a new partnership that we did a few months ago, and so they're now recommending their appointments as EKU representatives. So, all right. Call the roll.
Master Botkin,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. This next one is pretty much the same thing. It's just a different person. This is Resolution 2021-102, a resolution for the appointment of the Madison County Fiscal Court to the Madison Airport Board, Inc. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is responsible for the appointment of Madison Airport Board, Inc. board members, and whereas a vacancy to the Madison Airport Board, Inc. is open, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has found Dr. Tim Ross as fit for a position as board member of the Madison Airport Board, Inc. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve Dr. Tim Ross as a Madison Airport Board, Inc. member.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-02, the appointment of Tim Ross to the Airport Board.
Good, thank you, John. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Again, Dr. Ross has great qualifications. We're glad to have someone of his experience and caliber added to the board, Judge.
Agreed.
What is the term? Is it a 2-year or 4-year term, Judge?
So when the statute went through session, I think one of them, I think Tim's is a 4-year.
They have to alternate.
They have to alternate. So I think Tim's is a 4-year. Yeah, his expires the September 14th, 2025, and Ethan's was a 2-year. And then after Ethan's 2 years, then it would go to 4. Yep, be on schedule. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Botkin.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next, resolution, this is another amended item to the agenda. Resolution 2021-103, this is the FEMA DR 4592 Public Assistance Grant. Dustin.
Morning, Judge. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Resolution 2021-103, a resolution approving the execution of a memorandum of agreement between the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Military Affairs, Division of Emergency Management, the Commonwealth, and the various second-party subrecipients of DR 4592, each the contractor. Whereas the memorandum of agreement, MOA, is entered into by and between the intended for the benefit of the parties, to wit, the first party, the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Military Affairs, Division of Emergency Management, the Commonwealth, and the various second party subrecipients of DR 4592, each the contractor. And whereas the parties enter into this MOA to establish terms and conditions for implementing a federal program for the sole benefit of the parties and the United States government, specifically DR 4592, a federal emergency management, FEMA, public assistance program, PAP grant, authorized by Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance, CFDA 97.036, to be administered by the Commonwealth. And whereas the MOA is effective February 8th, 2021 through June 30th, 2022,
consistent with federal program approval for this project. Now therefore it be resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve to enter into this memorandum of agreement and authorizes the judge executive to execute the same on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Dustin. Do I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2021-103?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a sneeze. I mean, a second. Any discussion?
Dustin, we got this one just a little bit later, at least I did, and
Yep.
and it looks like 17 pages of the standard government contract, but do you want to elaborate in plain English and just
Yeah.
tell us what they're going to use this for?
So I think Glenn had just got this yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So this is our agreement for, which DR 4592 is the ice storm disaster event. So
That was in February.
that was in February. Yep. So this is basically the standard contract. The dollar amount on that contract is not what we get. That's what's coming to the Commonwealth.
It's basically coming to all the counties that are listed. There's a bunch
Yep.
of counties
Yep.
that were affected.
Yep. So that will be then distributed based on, damage assessed and damage reported through the grant systems.
Dustin, was this individual reporting damage, or was this,
No, this is all public assistance. So
Public assistance.
this is all governmental entities.
okay. Do you know
So-
what the amount of damage in Madison County was?
For us, so we were over, in order for us to qualify, we have to be over just over 300,000. So I think we're right at 350. There's some things that are being disputed, and we're working on, working with the Commonwealth Division of Emergency Management to get those through FEMA's processes. But as we work on that, we should have better numbers as we get through it.
And this doesn't mean we're going to get the money still.
Nope.
This just means we have the opportunity to get the money.
Absolutely, sir.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, myself and Jennifer and our team are working through getting all the documentation necessary. That's already been submitted. There's been some clarification questions that we're working through. Actually, Chris has helped us on a few things with the system. And I will say, Chris's team has put together with the road department, where most of this quote damage comes through, has put together a great system that allows us to track the damage as they see it more in real time versus me or our team going out seeing it the next day. It's a little bit more real time. They're using their log sheets for their work orders to basically track what they're doing, and then their vehicles and their equipment is already designated with what's called a FEMA cost code. And when that gets logged into their system, the spreadsheet that Chris's team has developed then computes that, and it actually makes my life a whole lot easier when we go to put it together. So,
Excuse me.
Dustin,
And it also allows for pictures,
yeah, yeah.
which is very important to FEMA because it's real time. They're taking pictures they have to take pictures of the debris that they pick up. They have to take pictures when they drop them off. To our burn site, and that was some of the biggest expense that we had in this
Was the debris.
storm was all the trees, and you remember it put us behind.
That debris pickup's a large chunk of this what this reimbursement will be. And like I said, thanks to the road department, because they had to go out there and physically do all that, but they did a great job of collecting the data that we needed as well. And then, like I said, Chris's team and their system allowed that data to be put together into a format that FEMA accepts, and we can, instead of having to, I think we had over 1,000 entries. We would have had to hand put all those in if it wasn't that way already. So
Well, I think we had 3 phases of pickups, I
Yep.
believe is how we ended up doing
Correct.
it. And it went from the end of February there all the way, I think, through the middle of April,
yep,
I believe, is when it
Sometime
went.
in April.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So, which you all felt that a little bit because it kind of put us behind on mowing and some of the other things that we had to do because we were so focused on getting all those debris cleaned up. So this just gives us an opportunity to get reimbursed for a lot of that expenditure. So
Dustin, I was just going to ask you, with all the national disasters and, floods and fires and all over the country, is it making it harder for our applications to get accepted?
I don't know that I will say individual assistance individual assistance is something very challenging to get. If you looked at the other, just what, last week, Carlisle, Kentucky,
Got denied, didn't it?
got denied individual assistance. We, the judge and I, fought to get Madison County for the flood, which is, we'll probably be back with another one of these here in another couple months for DR 4595, which is what the flooding was. That Madison was included on the individual assistance along with Estill and the counties, as you went east down the river. But it's an extremely challenging thing to get individual assistance. Public assistance, if you meet your threshold, which for us is based on population, there's a dollar amount per population. I think our number is right at 306,000, if I'm correct. The state has to meet a 6 million number. So we have to meet that threshold for the county. They have to meet the threshold as a state. At that point, the director at Kentucky Emergency Management and the governor get together. They put that request up to the president. Public assistance has, as long as you meet those criteria, public assistance as of late has been moving through the process. Now, it's not a quick process, but it is being moved through.
So documentation is so very important to keep all these records to.
If you
be able
want
to
your,
get approval. Yeah.
exactly. Dollars is because of documentation, and that's, the team at the road department using their work orders, where Chris and his team have implemented with us that those FEMA cost codes into, hey, when they roll a dump truck out today, even today they drive a dump truck and they do a work order, that FEMA cost code is being tracked. Now, there's not a reason today, right? It kind of just goes in and that's what they're doing it. But tomorrow, if they have to be activated for some type of disaster event, that's already being tracked, which makes our life on the documentation end a whole lot smoother. And we're not trying to go backwards and trying to figure out who was where and what vehicle was utilized for how long.
And that data is kept forever. I mean, we can all remember just a few years ago on Arbuckle when we had to write a
Yeah.
$70,000, $80-something thousand check back to FEMA because of not having those type of records you're talking about to be able to prove. It was in a different administration. We didn't have any kind of records to be able to prove that, hey, that should have been an approved expenditure or whatever, So sometimes those audits and those follow-up things from FEMA come 4 years down the road. So it's hard to remember what we did last week, right? Let alone 4 years prior. So,
Yeah.
any other comments or questions? We do have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2021-103. No further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Botkin.
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Appreciate you, Dustin. Thanks. Next, personnel and animal shelter. This is an exciting one.
It's not Morgan?
Oh, it's not Morgan.
She's been working over there.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Morgan.
Good morning, everyone. Today I would like to make a hiring recommendation for Megan Barger. Megan Barger has joined us here today to participate in this part of the hiring process. I would like to recommend the hiring of Megan Barger as the full-time kennel technician for the Department of Animal Care and Control at the starting rate of $11 per hour to start today after court.
Thank you, Katie. Do I have a motion and a second?
Judge, I'd like to make a motion for the hiring of Megan Barger to the animal care kennel technician position.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Master Botkin,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. We're excited to have you. Yep. Thanks, Katie. Next, it's personnel in the fire department. Chief.
Morning.
Hi, buddy.
Here today to make a recommendation to promote Jacob Tharp from firefighter 1 at $7.50 an hour to firefighter 2 at $8 an hour, effective 9/15/2021. He just completed his 400-hour certification, making him state certified.
It's good. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion to approve a promotion of Jacob Tharp from firefighter 1 to firefighter 2 to a proposed salary of $8 an hour effective tomorrow, September 15th, 2021. All right. No discussion? Call the roll.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bucking.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it. Next is Judge's Report. I've just got a few announcements. We've got some community activities coming up. The Bria Spoon Bread Festival is September 17th through the 19th. That starts this, I guess that'll be this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, won't it? Be sure to visit the Madison County EMA CSEP booth and say hello to our friendly staff. It is important to know what our emergency management, our CSEP program does and how they keep us safe in our community, and also to maybe have some discussions about life after CSEP. I think we're starting to have those conversations of the importance of our community members understanding and knowing what life after CSEP is going to look like, and make sure that it's going to be a positive impact on our community in the long run. So excited about having those opportunities, Dustin, with your team, and making sure that that they're sort of hitting on those things whenever we have these types of opportunities with the citizens. We have a great event coming up also in the county. It's our Household Hazardous Waste event. It is Saturday, October the 2nd, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Madison County Road South Department. That is out off Clarksville Lane. If you go to go right past the 421-25 split, it'll be the next road on your left. We will have all kinds of signage and some of our message boards up that are guiding citizens into where they can dispose of their household hazardous waste. It is a wonderful event. It really is. It allows citizens to get rid of oil-based paints, solvents, electronics, old tube TVs, fluorescent light bulbs. So if you have those things in your garage or your basement, it is a wonderful opportunity to dispose of them. And guess what's the best part about it?
It's free.
It is free. And last year, it was the biggest event that we'd ever had. We had more citizens come through that event than any years in the past. So it really is beneficial to the community. We also have a waste tire collection event that's coming up on October the 7th and 8th from 8 to 4 p.m. and then on October 9th from 9 a.m. until noon. Now that is anybody that's got tires at their farm, at their house, that needs to dispose of them. You will bring those to our road department south as well. And that event again is October 7th, 8th, and 9th. October 7th and 8th, it's from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And on October 9th, it's from 9 a.m. to noon. This is a state-funded event. The State Transportation Cabinet has this tire amnesty event every 3 years. So this is our third year, and we were having it at our Road South this year.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
not to interrupt you, to go back on the last event, does that also include appliances, microwaves, stuff, refrigerators, things like that we find on the roadsides?
So I just had my radio ad yesterday and read what it included, and those are not things that were in my list. What I would do to your question, Tom, is if you do have a citizen, or if a citizen's listening and wants to question what they could bring, what does qualify, I would encourage them to call 624-4709. That's our solid waste department. And Scott and Melissa and Amanda, they would be able to help them answer those questions. They'll know exactly what all qualifies.
Plus, if that item is not on there, they could also schedule that for a large item.
Large item pickup. That's that's good. They sure can. Jill, were you gonna?
There's also a complete list of what is accepted and not accepted on the Facebook event.
Okay.
It goes into pretty great detail, so if you have.
Okay. For those listening, if you couldn't hear that, you can also go on our county Facebook page, and it gives a pretty detailed list of what is accepted at our household hazardous waste event. We also have another fun event. I always enjoy this event. It's the Kentucky River Sweep event. We've had to cancel it, I think, last couple of years, but it is on Saturday, October 16th. That's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Boonesboro State Park Beach. Volunteers are needed. For more information on any of these events, please contact our solid waste department at 624-4709. The river sweep event is a time that people come out and we actually pick up trash. We clean the banks of the river. There are locals that have boats and we fill up trash bags. Tom, you and I have done this before in the past. It is a really good event to clean up our waterways and just bring awareness to the importance of not throwing out trash. We also have a cookout. This is kind of a partnership with Madison County and Clark County. Judge Pace and I and Mayor Bertner, Mayor of Winchester, that we typically cook hamburgers and hot dogs after the event sort of wraps up and everybody eats and fellowships, and it is a really good event. So anybody that would like to do that event, one thing about this event, Tom, that I'm looking forward to this year is it's in October 16th. When we've done it in the past, I think it's been in like July, and man, it is hot. You really would rather swim in the river than you would pick up trash because it's so hot. But a few other activities coming up. Kirksville Days will be Saturday, September 25th, with most activities beginning in or near the Kirksville Community Center, which is the old Kirksville Elementary School. The Masonic Lodge will have a country ham breakfast beginning at 7:30 a.m., and then Kirksville Days Parade will begin at 11 a.m. Madison Southern High School's homecoming parade will be Thursday, September the 23rd, beginning at 6 p.m. through the streets of Berea. Madison Central's homecoming parade will be Thursday, September the 30th, beginning around 6 p.m. through downtown Richmond. And then EKU's homecoming parade will be Friday, October 1st, beginning around 6 p.m. down Lancaster Avenue and Main Street in Richmond. The Richmond Powwow Native American Gathering will be on Saturday and Sunday, September 25th and 26th. That will be at our Richmond Battlefield Park. Gates open at 10 a.m. each day and close around 5 p.m. Please see the Richmond Powwow's Facebook page for the most up-to-date information. The Boone Way US 25 yard sale will be Friday and Saturday, October 1st and 2nd. Please be mindful of the extra traffic. For all those that want to participate in the yard sale, I'm sure you won't mind sitting in some traffic, but for all those that are maybe trying to get from Berea to Richmond, you might not like it. So just as a reminder, that will be taking place on Friday and Saturday, October 1st and 2nd. The Richmond Area Arts Council Arts Gala will be Friday, October the 8th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. at the Elmwood Estate on Lancaster Avenue. Please contact the Richmond Area Arts Council for tickets and more information. And I know that was kind of a long report, but it's good because we've got a lot of community activities going on. And for the past year that we've had, or 18 months we've had, it's a little bit refreshing to see some of these outdoor events to where that we can actually get out. Next is comments from magistrates. Big Raj, I'll start with you today.
Well, I want to thank Berea for providing this facility to us and the protection that they put up. I always appreciate coming to Berea. I think it's a good thing that we can have two meeting places. Other than that, I just want to thank our employees. Most people might not know it, but behind the scenes, they're the ones doing the bulk of the work, and I appreciate all of you making us look good. Thank you.
Thanks, Raj. John?
Judge, I don't have a lot today. I'm going to kind of echo on what Roger said. I want to thank Steve for all he's doing in the jail over there with the COVID situation going on. His hands are full, and I'm thinking about him every day. The job that he's doing is outstanding under the conditions he has to work with. Thank Detective Allen down there in the Sheriff's Department for what they're doing, and you know, all of our departments are having to deal with extra effort and extra caution because of the COVID. Thank you, Chris, for updating our technology and getting us up to speed on so many things and saving so much paperwork and everything that you do with the IT department. Appreciate each and every one of you guys.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Tom?
Judge, so I'll just echo a few things that they have said about all of the departments. You know, we generally, or at least I generally, have a lot of credit due to the road department simply because that's where the calls are at. But everyone behind the scenes does a great job, and I want to thank all of you guys for that. You know, the last couple of weeks has been sort of busy for me, Judge. Just had several calls that dealt with state road issues, and I met with Brandon McIntosh one day, and we actually rode around and pointed out some things that were just really needed attention, and he's agreed to take care of all those, and I appreciate that. Same thing with Scott and Willie. I met with Scott and Matt Grant out at the woods one day to take care of some issues and their homeowners association had brought up, and those have been addressed. So I appreciate that. You know, we get a lot of calls, especially in the summertime, about property maintenance. And so I've had a couple of, I had a pretty good week there running on some things and following up on that dealt specifically with Bert and the planning and zoning and the folks there, where we had to make calls to FEMA and track down their agent for taking care of properties that belongs to HUD and dealing with that, and got some of those issues resolved. And I appreciate Bert and them, you know, and everything they do up there helping with that. Well, it's not the last, but I want to address this issue next, Judge. At the last court, I made a comment. And, of course, I don't have to repeat it, and I'm not going to repeat it. Everybody knows what I said. But what I want to say about that is this. It wasn't my intentions at that court to offend anyone or upset anyone or alienate anyone. There was an individual, his name is Virgil Gardner, that was so upset about it that Mr. Gardner decided to take pen and address the issue with the Richmond Register. And just to be honest with you, I appreciated that, simply because he made me think about something that I had done. He was passionate about the issue enough to stand up and to take a stance and to say something about it. And Mr. Gardner, I apologize to you, and I appreciate the stance that you took. There were some other individuals, I won't mention names, but that also addressed that, and I appreciate that. And I apologize. If what I said offended you, I apologize for that. Now, part of my comments about that, if you haven't figured that out already, I'm very passionate about that issue. The coroner had came and he had stand up in front of us and he had basically dumped his heart out, telling us that in another year, the drug situation in Madison County is worse. When everybody was confined, it was worse than the year before. And friends, I'm going to tell you, I'm sick of it. And everybody, you're watching on that TV over there, you're listening to this, today you need to be sick of it. I'm tired of hearing them come up and talk about sons and daughters, parents, grandparents, that another round of fentanyl that's hit Madison County has taken out. Those lives, those families, it's just destroyed them forever. I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. It's time to be angry about it. Over the course of the last 6 years, Judge, I'm just round numbering here. Don't ask me for the dollar and cents. We've round numbered $18 million to support other departments, Sheriff's Department, the jail, with monies to bail out a situation directly drug-related out of our general fund that we could have been providing services to our citizens. I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of it. We need to do more. We need to step up. Mr. Gardner took a pen and wrote to the register. I asked the rest of you, take a pen and write to our legislators. We need a tougher stance. It's never going to stop until the drugs stop. Of course, that's been happening a long time. That's not new. But it's peaking. I'm tired of it. So that's all I want to say about that, except for one thing. For the last 6 years, pretty much, at the end of this court, or at least at the end of my statements, I have given out my phone number, 200-9765. You can call me anytime, day or night, about any issue. I put my pants on in the morning just like you do. And ladies, vice versa. But still, I'm an elected official. You please, if you don't like something I do, or you want me to do something different, call me. I'll be glad to talk to you. I'll be glad to sit down if you don't want to sit down. I'll be glad to call you. I'll be glad to meet with you. I'll be glad to do whatever you want to do. I'm your representative. That's what I'm going to do. I also just want to say that the last thing that needs to be done by all of us, you need to pray. It's not going to get fixed. It's not going to be fixed without some intervention from above. If you can't get down on your knees, stand up. You'd be 6 feet closer to God. He don't care. He's listening. We got to pray. See if we can get ourselves out of this. That's all I want to say about that, Judge. Last thing I just want to end is that I would appreciate it, and we said it today, and our preacher said it today, and I just ask you to keep the Reynolds family in your prayers. You know, we've missed Paul here for the last couple of weeks. Paul's struggling for his life. And we need to keep his family in our prayers. So, once again, if anyone needs me, you can reach me at 200-9765. Thank you, Judge.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. Jenny, you have anything? Kenny?
Yep, I want to remind everybody that the latest edition of Barger's Briefings is came out Friday, and I discuss the differences between circuit clerk office and county clerk office. I'm guessing just the number of phone calls, we tracked it for a while, and it got to be so many that I knew it was something we had to do something about. I mean, we lose, I don't know, probably $30,000 a year in lost labor time answering the phone, answering questions for the circuit court clerk's office. So please go to our Facebook page, watch that briefing. There's going to be more information on there. And we're also, November 2nd, we're having a special election down here in Berea, 10 precincts for the 89th. Somebody tell me if I'm right or wrong. That's right. I thought so. 89th
House
seats for House seat.
Yep. Yep.
And we'll have more on Facebook page about that, about locations and times.
And that's November 2nd?
Election day is November 2nd, but we're one of 3 counties, or one of 3 districts for legislators that's, we're trying out the new election law. Early voting, everything's changed a little bit, so we'll be doing a little differently.
And on election day, it'll still be the same 6 to 6, Kenny?
Yep, 6 to 6, but you just go to the spot, everybody votes in the same spot.
Yep.
We won't have precinct.
Have y'all determined the spot yet?
We've got Folk Center booked,
Okay.
and we're gonna do the early voting here in this building like we did in,
Okay.
last time in 2020.
Yep.
And we're also, this is not set in stone yet. I've talked to Director Deering, State Board of Elections, but we are going to pilot a risk limiting audit, hopefully, not guaranteed yet, risk limiting audit after that election. It's something we're looking to move across the state. We're going to have in legislation in January, hopefully, to start an audit process for every county after the election versus the 6 counties that are drawn by the Attorney General's office. Try to get ahead of what the fraud stuff that's out there online and on Facebook and things like that, and prove that we're actually working, trying to do, what we can.
Yep. It's good.
Judge, I got one more comment, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Kenny can chime in here if I miss up something here.
All right.
But my driver's license expired a couple months ago, and I wasn't notified. They don't send out notices anymore, so I happened to look on it and saw it was a couple months overdue. So I go out, the driver's licenses are not handled by the circuit clerk anymore. That's been about a year since that's changed, Kenny?
They've been phasing in. Ours has been since
June.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's handled with the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicle, out at the mall, and I went out there, and the line was about 10 to 12 backed up. They're really busy. If you want to go out there and get your driver's license, your real ID, you need to set up an appointment a couple of days ahead of time online. They will work you in at your appointed time, but if you don't go in, it's a walk-in, prepare to wait for about 3 hours. So I went back home and went online and got my driver's license. You can apply online, and they'll send it to you in the mail, and that's the easiest way. But you will need to go back in a year or so and get your picture updated. But the line out at the DMV is backed up, and you need to make an appointment before you go, so you don't get upset out there.
Yeah, those are drive.ky.gov. All the information from Transportation Cabinet about driver's license and about renewing a vehicle or anything is all at drive.ky.gov. Those are regional offices. They've got 20 of them up and running now. They've got 10 more to go. So that doesn't mean, before when you came to get your driver's license in Madison County, had to be from Madison County. Well, now we're getting people from Estill, Jackson, Rockcastle, all the surrounding counties. So that's a regional office for Transportation Cabinet. So it could be, depending on the day it hits. But John's right, you can, they just stood this up, I don't know, a month ago. You can renew your driver's license online now. If you're not making any changes or anything, you can renew online. A real ID, you're gonna have to go in and provide documents and things, but you can renew your driver's license online, and they're working to do it so you can also change your address online, because that takes some documentation too. So Heather Stout, Transportation Cabinet Director of IT, is working really hard on trying to make that more convenient, because we've got a whole lot fewer people in the state now administering that, doing driver's license, because of the regional offices.
Kenny, am I right about this, that you can get your regular driver's license now and go in later and get an update your real ID
Yep.
at a later time?
Yep.
You don't have to wait 4 years
Yeah.
before you get the
May of '23 is when the real ID goes into effect, if they don't move it again. We've been talking about real ID for going on 10 years, so, but if they don't change it again, it's May of 2023. So you don't have to have it, if you're going on a trip, getting on a plane, you don't have to have it right now.
Okay.
I'll say this about that, Judge. Earlier in the year, like February, I made an appointment over there and went over there and had an ID made. And if you've got all your documentation, it was 15 minutes. I was in and out.
Yeah,
So what they did was very efficient.
yeah. It's good. Anything else, Kenny?
No, that's it.
Kenny, one thing I just want to comment on a little bit, just sometimes, our community members don't know how hard that you actually do work for Madison County, not only Madison County, but the Commonwealth. And so people don't know you sit on this task force that's been put together trying to make the processes of the clerk's office better,
Right.
changing laws about elections and making things to where that people have a good experience when they come and interact at the clerk's office. And so what you're doing is really big stuff. I mean, it's things that you've talked about and wanted to see happen for a very long time, and you've gotten at the level at the state to get with the right people to start having those kinds of conversations with the legislature. I know you spoke to them, I think, at the state fair.
Yeah, testified a few weeks ago.
Yep, you testified a few weeks ago, and these are conversations that you wanted to have for a long time, and you're starting to get listening ears
Right.
at the legislature, which goes a long way to get laws changed and passed that haven't been updated in a very long time. So
Right.
Kudos to you on the job you're doing, not only for Madison County, but just being a game changer across the
I
Commonwealth.
try to do, our office isn't perfect, but you start with the low-hanging fruit and you work your way up the tree.
Yep.
And our office isn't perfect by any means. We've still got improvements to make, but the majority of the improvements we need now are at the legislative
Right.
level. And that's my job, is to remove obstacles from the people that work for me, with me, get it out of their way.
Yep.
So they can do a better job and serve our constituents in a better way, in
Yep.
a more efficient way. So thank you, I really appreciate
Yep.
it.
Thank you. Lieutenant Allen, I'm sure that you don't have anything to say, but I do want to thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Just for those that are watching or here, the sheriff and some of our sheriff's department staff, they're at a sheriff's conference in Bowling Green, which is why they're not here today. But Lieutenant Allen, I appreciate you being here representing our sheriff's department. Steve?
Yes, sir. Just real quick, Judge. Wanted to update on the current jail numbers and just give everybody a little more information about what's going on in the jail currently. Jail numbers right now, in-house this morning was 312. Home incarceration is 58 and 132 out in other counties that, of course, we have to pay a daily per diem for. So currently, in Madison County, we are responsible for 502 inmates. I just remind everybody, as we throw numbers out and to most people, that's probably meaningless. But according to the Department of Corrections, who does oversee us, we have a 184-bed facility. We got over 300 inmates in it. That is now compounded by a couple of things. One is we have a renovation project going on, trying to fix the jail we have so that we can continue to use it for a few more years. I've tried to maintain an empty cell and rotate that around the jail so that we can work on it and update it and fix it as we need to. That's becoming really difficult to do with the current numbers. And now we've compounded again by COVID. We've been very, very fortunate because we've got a great staff that I could never say good enough things about, privately or publicly. They really go the distance every single day. Currently, we've got 47 positive inmates in the jail. To manage that and to keep them separated and quarantined is, in a small jail like that, is really, really difficult. It's very staff intensive. On top of that, we still try to maintain our typical COVID protocols. All the intakes we try to quarantine for the first 14 days before we put them back into what we call general population, back into our bigger cells. Arrest rates are going up. Warrants from the judges are going up. And, of course, our numbers continue to go up. I say all of that with a word of caution. We've talked about jail for so long, and most people are probably really tired of hearing about it, and I'm sorry. This problem isn't going away. It is currently getting worse, and there is an end to this road. And sadly, the end of that road is in sight. End of that road is when we run out of a place to send inmates to other counties. Other counties are having the same problems we are, and I'm reaching out further and further and further in the state to find those empty beds. We've got several inmates now as far as away as Leslie County, and they are saturated. We've got inmates in Woodford County and Bourbon County, Casey County, and we will continue to do that, but it's at great cost to the county, as you are well aware. A quick update, and I'm not trying to, spread pandemonium and cry wolf, but it's something that must be addressed.
Yep.
We are looking at our options of temporary housing, because even if we started the process of a new jail today, we all know we're 2 or 3 years away from seeing that. We cannot maintain what we're doing for 2 or 3 years. We will have to look at other options.
Thank you, Steve. I think it's, I just did quick math here on 132 inmates out. If we did that every day for a year, 365 days, that's over $1.5 million that we're just paying other counties to house our inmates. That doesn't include our transport costs, wear and tear on vehicles, gasoline, labor for a deputy to take that inmate, go pick them up. It is pretty expensive. So I think it's good to have these conversations, Steve, because I think that we have to, one of our biggest roles here as a court, I've learned, is to educate the community with the facts. And to, whether it's good or bad, let's not, as elected officials, tell our citizens what they want to hear. Let's tell them the facts. Let's be truthful. So that we can work and make this community better together, So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Comments from department heads. I think, Dustin, you wanted to say a few words to the court.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This month, September, is National Preparedness Month. So we just remind everybody, I know if you, for those that maybe travel to the Gulf Coast and the East Coast, we see those weather events this time of year a little more frequently with the hurricane season. But, in Kentucky, we can see severe weather anytime. We could see severe weather tomorrow, perchance. We see flooding here in Kentucky. We got to make sure that people are always ready for whatever the situation may be. Folks can go to a website, ready.gov, which is FEMA's kind of PR site, and it talks about National Preparedness Week, talks about having a plan, putting a kit together, having things in your kit, like non-perishable food, water, you name it, batteries. You can see the long list on our site at Madison County KY.us /EMA. But they talk about all these things. Please go to those sites, check out our social media. It's important that we continue to communicate those events because, let's face it, emergencies aren't going away. They're whatever the cause is, whatever people want to say the cause is, we are seeing disasters more often here in the United States. The other thing I want to touch on, Judge, is tomorrow in the morning we have our annual FEMA CSEP exercise, the Chemical Stockpile Emergency Preparedness exercise. Our staff, as well as partners from the communities here in Madison County, will be working through a role-playing scenario of a simulated release from the bluegrass chemical activity. So we'll be there working on that. It's all there to prepare, test our plans and procedures, and the whole purpose is to get better. So that's what that's there for. We will be activating our sirens and advisory alert radios. Wednesday is our normal test, but it's typically at 12:20. We will not be doing it at 12:20 tomorrow. It'll be in the morning, sometime after 8:30. I do not know the official kickoff time. That's held by the Army, and that's held pretty close. But sometime after 8:30 in the morning, folks will hear the sirens go off. It'll be for the test, as well as the advisory alert radios in their home. And for those zones that we are simulating the affected area of, if you have a landline, you will also get a phone call, but that'll only be in that area. And again, that'll be just as a test, not anything that you need to take action on. So
Okay.
that's all I had.
Sounds good.
Questions?
Will we be sending out any kind of information on social media, Facebook?
For tomorrow?
Just to let people
Yep.
know that, hey, this is just a test.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's been posted, and they can see that on our social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
We might reshare it right before in the morning, so
Yep.
people are, it's a reminder.
I think it's posted to the top, so yep.
It's good.
You bet.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Dustin, a year or so ago, you were in the process of working on some FM radio type distribution. Did
Yes.
that get completed?
So, yes, we have the contract. They are building the items. As you can imagine, supply chain has caused us some issues there. The date that I actually heard last week that we were slated to get them is end of the year, first of the next year is when we hope to have those going out. If, again, something doesn't change with the supply chains. As you can imagine, chips go in those radios, and that's what the vendor is waiting on. So, yep.
Thank you, buddy.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Any other department heads? All right, seeing none. Anybody from the audience? All right. Yes, ma'am. Do you mind, Miss Debbie? Do you mind to get up to the mic so whoever is listening on TV can hear you? Look. Hey, I'm just teasing. There's no TV running.
Okay, I'll trust you. We had a group that came and talked to our group, the DAR, about Liberty Place, which seems to be a very good program, but their funds are limited. We had an officer came and talked to us about drug problems in Madison County, and he said that sometimes they arrest drug dealers and they are actually walking out before he can even say, file his report about what's going on. What is the answer? I mean, as far as I know, I don't know any drug dealers, but how can we affect what seems to be just a downward spiral with all this fentanyl and stuff coming in? That's just my question.
If I might, Judge, try to address some of her question. We've all, everybody in this room and our entire judicial system have wrestled with that question for many years. there is no silver bullet that will fix it. We're attacking it from several different directions. One is judicially, and the judges and law enforcement, the jail, which is a part of that system. Is that the answer? Absolutely not. Rehabilitation that we do now have some of in the jail. We have 2 different programs going on. We have what was called Road to Recovery, which is essentially as drug addicts coming in and talking to our current inmate population. That has really been successful. And we also have another program that's administered under a grant from University of Kentucky, and that is a pre-release counselor that is on site now at the jail. And that person meets with all inmates before they're released to give them the information and the tools that they need to be successful outside the jail. So there are things going on. Liberty Place is a wonderful facility. They're very limited in the numbers that they can accommodate. I understand that there are things in place or in the works for a mail program in Madison County, which would be a great addition. But it's a community problem, and we must all talk about it, and we should all get around the table and try to solve it.
But what could an average citizen do?
There,
A lot of people don't realize the severity of the problem.
No, that's absolutely true. And quite honestly, the average citizen that has the desire and wants to do something, get involved in some organization or something that the judge might propose. There are some organizations in the county that discuss and talk about our drug issue. And yes, it's huge. It's not going away. It has not gone away. We only predict it to get worse. And we begin by talking about it.
Quite a few of the kids that my daughters went to school with have died because of drug overdoses.
There's
Tragic.
very sad, and at this point, there's very few families in this county that has not been affected by it in some way.
You know, I think one thing that I think this court, have done well since we've been here together is that we've brought a lot of awareness to our situation, that the drug epidemic is the root issue, right? I mean, our jail, and I've said this for a while, our jail, we don't have a jail problem. We have a drug problem that then creates a jail problem. And in all my research and just reading and trying to figure this out, I know one thing that is not working, and that's incarcerating drug addicts. And the reason that I believe that so much is because of the number of inmates that we have with drug-related crimes and our recidivism rate with those same individuals that go in front of Jenny not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times. They go multiple times. And one thing I've learned is that incarcerating is not working. Now, we all can agree that there are some people out there that are bad people. They need to be incarcerated. But somebody that's got a mental issue that uses drugs to cope with whatever trauma they've had in their life, I don't think needs to be incarcerated. And we've tried things. This court has worked on things. We've put together a jail task force that's made up of citizens. We've proposed different ideas outside of incarceration. We've proposed incarceration, and we've not gotten anywhere because we have not had the support of the majority. And I'll just leave it at that. But that does not mean that we're giving up. That does not mean that we're not going to continue to try to, little by little, improve our positions. We do spend a lot of money, and Tom hit on this earlier. I mean, we fund programs in our county attorney's office that helps try to speed up programs and or the judicial process. You know, we support our jail and Steve in trying to implement little programs. We've supported our Too Good for Drugs program that's in our school systems, which COVID kind of slowed down. But I really look forward to the educational component for that younger generation. Part of this drug problem that we have is it's become generational, that we haven't done enough and brought enough awareness in the past 20 years, and so here we are when it's sort of out of control and we're trying to implement some of these things. It's also hard for us because we don't create the laws that we have to follow. You know, that's the legislative body that we have in Frankfort, you know, our senators and our House members. But we continue to work with them and try to figure out other ideas. Can we have some jail reform? You know, can we have some judicial reform to try to help sort of step into it? Our MORE group, Madison Opioid Response, and they change it. It's enhancement or engagement. They change the E on that sometimes. But, you know, that group is made up of our community action people, a lot of our social workers, the city just citizens, our county officials, and again, trying to bring awareness to the biggest scourge that we've had on our society. And it's not just Madison County. I mean, it's every county is having the same issue. And I believe with all my heart we're going to get there. But I think you ask, what can you do as a citizen? I think that you can educate your friends when county leaders have to make a hard decision, that you support them and you support them publicly. I think you support the elected officials in their hard decisions on social media to combat the misperception that people have a lot of times. One thing I'm proud of this court on is that we tell the truth. We do not get up here and tell you what you want to hear. We deal with the facts that are in front of us, and we're going to discuss them, and we're going to try to figure out solutions so that we can ultimately have return on investments for our future. So I know that was a lot, but I'm gonna hush. Jenny?
Judge, if I can address one issue that Ms. Parsons had brought up. You had indicated the officer who talked about they arrest a drug trafficker, they get in and get out. And by no means am I in the position to speak for our local judges. But being in the criminal justice system and being the prosecutor, I do think, as Judge Taylor said, it's important to educate. Please understand that in the last few years, those people aren't getting out because we let them out. Those people are getting out because the state, the Supreme Court, through AOC, the legislatures, are in this attempt to do what they call criminal justice reform, have set policies that these people are getting out now before we ever get to see them. They have pretrial has a standard that they have to look at based on the charges. And the problem I'm running into is before I can get them into court to figure out whether or not I have a criminal or I have someone who needs substance abuse treatment and some help, they've already gotten out and picked up 2 to 3 more offenses. And amazingly, some of the problem in the programs that the state's handing down and dictating this is what we have to follow is multiple offenses prior to conviction has no weight on whether or not they stay in jail. So they're getting what we call administratively released. That's before a judge gets to see them. They're taking away our local discretion for the judges or the prosecutors to say, hey, no, I know who this person is. On paper, that scale may say one thing. But in court, we know what's going on. We've dealt with these people. We know who we're trying to help. We know who needs punished. We know the difference. We need to address those individually. But the state stepped in and has taken away that local discretion. So I'm very comfortable in saying, not knowing who the officers talk to you, that's what they're experiencing, because it's a frustration with us across the board that even the ones we do need to keep incarcerated, we're not getting to them fast enough. And I know it's a frustration with our local judges as well, that by the time I turn around, when you have 5 felonies on my docket, it's very frustrating. Before I got to see the first one, you've picked up 4 more. So there's a lot of frustration on all parts. I know Steve has this, Steve has the frustration from seeing it in the back end. And we're dealing with stuff after the fact. If I tell people if we had capes and tiaras, we could fly around the world and do things preemptively. But it's hard in our roles in the criminal justice system to do it that way. So we encourage everybody to get out there and try to contribute, volunteering for organizations and just being there, because everything comes down to money. You know, we deal with it on fiscal court. Liberty Place deals with it, which is a great place. Hope's Wings deals with it. Different treatment facilities, everybody deals with the same issues of there's not enough money to provide all the services that we need. So a lot of times the volunteer, the donations, the contributing in little ways add up, and so we highly recommend that take place. And I tell everybody, you may not really want to know, but anybody's welcome to come to court with me.
Steve, you might not have a number, but how many people in your jail is just rotating in and out? You see them come back?
Our recidivism rate is a little over 80%. So of every 10 we turn loose today, 8 of them are coming back.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, our numbers, last I looked, I think like it was about 85% drug related. So I think it's definitely something that we need to continue to have a conversation. And I would encourage citizens through Kentucky River Foothills. They got a grant with our MORE, Madison Opioid Response and Enhancement group. I think they have and we might, Jill, we might post this on our Facebook page just to bring awareness to it. I think they have a online, what do you call the online, like conference, I'll say. They have a MORE conference coming up, and they have different guest speakers that are coming up. And let's get that on our Facebook page so we can bring some awareness to it. I think it's really good to see all the different agencies that are involved in that MORE group. I mean, there are church groups, there are, county elected officials are part of it. Our health department is part of it, our hospitals. There's a really big group that attends that, and we started those meetings trying to engage people, and we felt like that's what we had to do was bring awareness. Because as elected officials, we have to feel like we have support of the majority of the community if we're going to really sort of do things and make sure that's why we're elected. We're elected to represent citizens of Madison County. And to communicate with them, but we have to feel like we have the support of the community if we're going to be able to get some of these things across the finish line. And I think sometimes that we let the loud minorities dictate our future. So, great conversation. You're a rock star. Thank you for asking that question, because I think these are the types of discussions that we need to have. And I'm just glad that this was not a long agenda where we could have that conversation, so we didn't cut it short. Thank you so much, Debbie. Next on our agenda is need a motion and a second to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So move.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Buckley?
Yes.
Master Berger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next meeting is September the 28th, 2021. And I'll just go ahead and make an announcement to the court that depending on where we're at with COVID when we get closer to that date, we could have our next meeting virtual or at a different location, possibly than our fiscal courtroom. With the setup of our fiscal courtroom, it is really hard to be able to social distance and have this type of setup. So we're working right now internally with Chris and some of our team to see what other options we may have. Our fiscal court meeting will be on September 28, 2021 at 9:30, regular time, but we might have to change, and it ends up being a special meeting if we change outside of our fiscal courtroom. So when I know that for sure, I'll make sure I give plenty of time to get that information out to the community so they'll know how we're going to hold our next court meeting. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes, and thank you all so much for being here. Appreciate the conversation. Everybody have a wonderful week. God bless. Be safe.